Welcome to the Lost Lowdown podcast 123 with your hosts Claude and Justin.
What's up, guys?
We are back continuing our season 2 commentary series with episode 217, Lockdown,
Oh
which
no.
is the lost episode that really kind of hooked me and Justin into doing the podcast. I think this is the one that really said, hey, if you're interested in a show with mysteries and you want to put in the time and effort to delve into the details to figure out this big mystery, this is the show for you, right?
Yeah.
And we promise to give you all the answers that we can with to fulfill your interest and your time. And that's what we got, right, Justin?
That's what I remember.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. I did hit my head very hard though, so
Yeah. No, the Blast Door map was so cool. When that came on, it was like, man, just when I thought this show couldn't get cooler.
hmm
The black light comes on and it's like, oh, wow, what are the secrets in there? And we're gonna spend the next like 3 seasons figuring out the
yeah.
secrets of
Like everybody's gonna see the map, they're gonna make copies of it,
Smash.
they're gonna send people out on missions to explore the map, and everything
Yep.
you need to know about the show
Mm-hmm.
will be tied to that map.
Oh
And
yeah, and the ultimate answer to the show is going to be that question
that big
mark.
question
In the
mark,
middle.
that's the ultimate answer. What else would a big
Yeah,
question mark be except for
yeah.
the ultimate answer?
It's definitely not just going to be 5 episodes later. There's no way that's going to happen.
Man, yeah, no, the most, yeah, I remember season 2 being, before I saw Lost, the hook was there's a man in a box who has to press a button or the world ends.
Right, right.
And then
What a
lockdown
hook.
then lockdown gives us there's a map that explains everything, and it has all the answers on it, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay, I'm hooked, let's do it.
yeah. Yeah, no, I remember like we were watching the show and I remember we found, people screen capped the map
hmm
and it appeared online. We read through like all of the stuff. There's like
Every single Latin word, every
there's
English word.
translations and shit. There's some just like weird phrases that make no sense.
hmm
And then yeah, and then there's stations, Dharma stations.
Yeah, and then yeah, we didn't know that there was other stations at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, that was huge. And yeah, people made like false color images. They reversed the color so you could see different things, and it was pretty much literally a rabbit hole, almost
Yeah.
literally a rabbit hole to go down in and really get lost. No pun intended.
Yeah.
In the details that really, obviously, as we all know at this point, didn't matter.
I know that's the sad part, but I don't want to talk about the sad part yet. So the thing, as for the Lost Lowdown history, I think the thing to say here is when I was like desperate for. More information about this blaster map, and I was looking for people talking about this, and that's how I found the Lost Cast
Okay, yeah.
and because they did this episode about the Blastorm app, I think they regret it as much as we did.
Yeah, you were looking for other people who were talking about this thing.
Yeah, and so I found this episode and I listened to it and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. They sit there and they talk about Lost and people listen to them, you know,
That's simple.
and it blew my mind that this was a thing,
hmm
and I was like, that's great, and so I
Yeah,
think.
this is before everybody and their mom and dad were podcasters.
Yeah, totally. Podcasting wasn't on my radar at the time, really. Like, I didn't think of it as a thing that one does. So it was really cool to hear. And, it was clear they were just like regular fans. They weren't famous people. They didn't have special equipment or anything. They're just
hmm
like, sitting in somebody's living room with a microphone and talking about Lost. And it was like, I could totally do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. they didn't have segments. They weren't like Jay and Jack, you know. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't like the transmission. I didn't even hear them first. Luckily, like they gave me the picture of a podcast that like I could actually imagine doing, you know.
Yeah.
And it seemed like a lot of fun, and it was like okay. And so it took between this episode and Two for the Road before we actually, because we had to like come up with a name, we had to do some tests, we had to figure out how to make it work,
Mm-hmm.
and it sort of took a few, and also some of the episodes in between are crappy,
Yeah.
so there's that too. But like it this was definitely where it started, even though we didn't actually podcast about this episode. I think the idea of the Lost Lowdown really comes out of this, and I think it's all the more tragic how quickly it doesn't matter what's on the map.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's literally in this season. It's actually literally like 5 episodes from now when it stops mattering.
And I think that's a hint that the show gives the audience that we did not pick up on until after the show was over,
Yeah,
where well, we wised up a bit, but towards the end, but that
yeah,
they would
towards the
really
end.
kind of make it clear that if something mattered, that they might drop some things that do matter and then come back to them, but if they drop something that was really big, that kind of is telling you it doesn't matter, but we were still like, oh no, it could come back
Yeah,
in. And then of course they would do the thing where they would bring up something from 2 seasons before,
yeah,
and then you go, well, the Blastor map could still come back, or
right.
that little the Cerberus vent, man, the Cerberus vent, like you're all we're gonna find that at some point.
I feel like I know we did, didn't we, or didn't?
Well, I don't know if they ever told us that's what it was, but we can assume where Smokey comes out of is
Yeah,
this Cerberus vent.
those little hidey holes that he had.
Hmm.
I mean,
I can't believe Man in Black spent so much time in hidey holes, evil incarnate in hidey holes.
yeah, no, no. I think the other key thing about it not mattering, and this was a clear pattern that they used throughout the show when they destroyed the hatch.
Yes. Now, anytime something gets destroyed, that is a clear sign that we don't even
They're
talk
done.
about this anymore.
They're so not. There was no discussions about the Black Rock after they blew it up. They never brought it up again. And
Yeah.
and every time they blow something up, it's
Jacob's
done.
cabin, like all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob's cabin. Never mention it again.
Yeah.
After they burned it. Yeah, exactly. It was like that was always a big break. And so even the freighter, like everything,
Hmm.
it's done. It's done. And I think the key was they never made like a detailed copy of it. Like Locke draws this really sketchy,
Hmm.
version of it where he just sort of draws like the it's like an octagon kind of shape, and then like the question mark in the middle and the stations around the side, but that
Yeah.
was it. That's
Yeah.
all they had. And so it's like, of course, I mean, they don't even know what was on it,
Hmm.
and it's destroyed, and no one even talks about it. No one even
No one
Locke.
talks about it. They don't try to really try to trigger it again to make it come
Yeah.
down. It's just. But yeah, we were both wee lads back in what was this, '06, I think,
Yeah.
2006.
6.
And
Yeah.
I definitely remember you listening to Lost podcasts and out there and pitching it to me that we should do one, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
We should do what now? And like we've said before, we were already spending hours talking about Lost and just not recording it. So wasn't too much of a step to go forward. It just press record on something. But then of
Yeah.
course it is like coming up with a name, coming place a host, actually trying to put the effort into getting listeners and all that kind of stuff and the formatting and but like you said, it was for both of our temperaments. It was good that we uh, didn't put too much of what do they call it? Production value?
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah, that's the word. We didn't spend too much. In the beginning, we tried to have segments and stuff like that, of course,
Yeah,
since that's what
yeah,
everyone else
yeah.
was kind of doing. But we
Yeah.
quickly kind of ditched that because we were just talking forever and ever. So,
Yeah.
um, but
No, I think
yeah, I distinctly remember thinking, okay, sure, we'll start this podcast, but I mean, come on. Like, are we going to really podcast about every episode until the
yeah.
show's over? Come on. I mean, we might do a couple. We might finish. Okay, we'll maybe get through season 3, but like, come on, we're not going to do the whole thing, right? And then 20 years later, here we are, still outlasting the show, as it
Yeah,
were.
yeah. And one thing that I think is kind of amazing is that we never actually missed a week
Mm-hmm.
of the show. Like when it was on,
Yeah.
we always the episode might have come out like maybe the day before the next one, but
Yes.
no.
There were some of those, like, here's the new Lost Lowdown, and here's the new Lost episode. But
Yeah, but still though, it's not like we skipped a week.
yeah,
We always had, and I don't know how we did that. I'm
that was good
amazed.
timing. I think that was good timing between our respective lives and stuff. I think that was just
Yeah,
good timing for us to be able to do that.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Like later on, it definitely would have been more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great time to make that happen. And I think another thing was that we the podcast was um the podcasting world was smaller back then.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was a good time to get in,
Mm-hmm.
because there were the big giants, and we were never gonna really compete with them. I mean, they had built-in audience that
Mm-hmm.
they were there from the way beginning.
Yeah, we were the second wave. There was the first wave who got in during season one, and then there was us who got in during season two.
And then there were the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth wave.
Yeah. Yeah, those people who started in season six and stuff. It's like a little late, guys, but okay.
Yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. And yeah, and I remember people were surprised even how early we started.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we kept picking up new listeners along the way.
Yeah.
And I think the show did kind of like improve and change. Like it sort of hit its final form, I think, in season 4.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of, I guess, sort of when the show started, like heading towards something.
Well, when they could plan the end, they could,
Yeah,
very and definitely having shorter seasons for 4, 5, and 6 helped. And
yeah. I think
yeah,
by that time we had our clearly established format of like, okay, we're gonna go scene by scene, and
scene by
and,
scene and talk about everything.
and just talk about everything, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Oh,
I
is
think,
this episode 8 hours long? Oh, it's fine. People will listen to it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Like it didn't even have to be the finale. Yeah, like Cabin Fever is like 8 hours, and
Yeah.
it's kind of ridiculous. Like. We didn't really need to talk about it that long. I mean, but somehow it worked.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we were definitely not going to be the number one Lost podcast simply because of our format.
Yeah.
The bulk of people don't want to listen to a podcast that long. But I've always been happy with our fan base who likes to spend that much time with us going over these minute details and
Yeah.
enjoying the tangents and the hilarity that ensues.
No, but I think it's sort of like, okay, just let me just preface this by saying I'm not making a serious comparison here. I'm not like trying to actually equate these things, but before I make this analogy, I have to say that. But anyway, like, for example, like something like Steven Spielberg and Quentin Tarantino.
We're the Quentin Tarantino of podcasting.
Okay, let me just explain the analogy. I mean, I think obviously Steven Spielberg has more people who watch his movies. I mean, if you
Mhm.
look at grosses and stuff like that, he's
Yeah.
gonna win.
Yeah.
He reaches a wider audience. There's just more people who will want to watch his movies in general.
Mhm.
But I think Quentin Tarantino has fewer people, but the people who like him more.
Yeah, the
You know,
intensity is greater. Yeah.
exactly. And so I think the people who like Lost Down like it more
Yeah.
in general than the people who like, Jay and Jack.
Which makes sense. You'd kind of have to like it more if you are willing to put that much time into it.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah, it
you-
requires
you
an
wanna-
investment.
Yeah, putting an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour a week into something is one thing. Putting, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a week into something is completely different.
Exactly. You don't do that lightly. Like that's a significant part of your week that you're
Yeah.
committing to
and
listen to
your
TV.
life over time.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's kind of amazing to look at the podcast running time and think about how much of your life is sort of spent in that in that environment.
By
Yeah.
amazing, do you mean depressing?
No, I didn't want to put it that way.
Do you think about all the other things you could have been doing
Yeah,
during the hundreds of hours?
you could think about it that way, but I
How
don't
many
know.
languages could you have learned? How many books could you have read? How many charities could you have volunteered for?
Ah, but you gotta have hobbies, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey.
I don't know. For me, like talking about television is like one of the greatest things about it. Like I think TV is great on its own, and I like it. I like watching it, but I
Hmm.
think talking about it like makes it better.
Yeah.
Like being able to go over things with people and sort of like you know air out your grievances. Because the TV show doesn't give a shit about what you think.
Yeah.
It just goes on and does its thing.
Hmm.
But like when you get to have oh yeah, they totally dropped that plot line,
Yeah.
or
And it's
whatever.
yeah, and it's more extensive than talking about a movie. You
Yeah.
have that communal experience with movies where you watch it with an audience and you go with your friends or whatever, and then you can have a quick discussion afterwards. But you usually
Hmm.
don't have too long of a discussion about a movie, no
Yeah.
matter how good or interesting or bad it is. It's usually not too long that you don't spend too much time talking about it. But with
Yeah.
of course
Yeah.
with the TV show that keeps going. You can keep having conversations about it and see where it's been and where it's going and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. I mean, there's just a lot more material. I mean, there's some movies where you could do maybe a few hour podcast, and
Mm.
I mean, we've done, a couple of those, but I mean, Lost is 120 something hours, like
Mhm.
in that's just a ton of material. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just inherently more to talk about there. There's so many details and characters and plot lines and stuff that, yeah, it's just like endless fodder. And because it's a mystery show, you know,
Mhm.
it naturally lends itself to speculation.
Yeah, I mean, speculation has to be like 60% of the podcast,
Yeah,
70%
exactly.
is just us making up what we think might or could or should happen.
Yeah. Or just like what did happen. A lot of
Mhm.
times you have to speculate
You have
about
to
what did
speculate
happen.
about what actually happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
or what somebody meant when they said what they said, or
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Like that's sort of what I mean, because there's holes in the story
yeah.
where you're supposed to kind of assume certain things happen, and there's like room for speculation there, and I think we spent a lot of time on that too.
Mhm.
I mean, there's still a lot of events where I'm
Deleted
not
scene, right? That's
sure.
where all our deleted scenes come from. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. That whole idea, exactly. Yeah, it's like, and I still say that about shows. It's like there must be a deleted scene where someone said this.
Hmm.
Like I was doing that constantly when I was watching Alias, for example. It's like I know there's a deleted scene where this happened.
Yeah.
There must be because they're just acting like it's normal, and that makes no sense. So it's like, yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I think TV is pretty perfect for the podcasting thing. You
Yeah.
know, and I didn't really know what podcasts were at the time. So
Hmm.
it was I think having this episode, uh, it was good timing. It sort of pushed us in.
Yeah,
Just
and that was the other thing about it specifically. The Mission of the Blast Door map was kind of like, okay, if you want to find out what these details are, you got to go do the research, and it was some impetus there to share that research with other people who didn't have the time necessarily
yeah,
to go scrutinize the map and all that stuff. So that was kind of the other key element too. It wasn't just an interesting mystery, but it was kind of like a service you can provide by going and doing the heavy lifting, which
right.
didn't matter, but still we did it. And then kind of like talking about what you find on the
Right.
internet and all that stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of the idea of the original Last Cast like catchphrase, which was we read the forums so you don't have to.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like Like, we'll sort of condense all the stuff that people are saying and, put it into a format where you can,
Yeah.
where you can get it without having to like go through all that stuff
Exactly, and
yourself.
we definitely did that throughout the original run of the show. Was
Yeah,
reading things online and
yeah.
listening to the Carlton and Damon's podcast, and then kind of
Mm.
bringing that information to the Lost
That
Days
was a
and
big
all that
deal too.
stuff.
Actually, that's another thing about Lost that I think, it was the first show where I would listen to the actual
The showrunners.
showrunners like doing a podcast. That's kind of normal now. There's a lot of shows,
Mm-hmm.
almost all the shows I watch, the showrunners do a podcast.
Yeah.
But like back then, it was amazing to
Mm-hmm.
actually have, and as jokey as they were, once you learned how their pattern was,
Yeah.
they had a
They
they
had
had
a
a
they had a way to evade questions.
exactly
Yeah.
exactly they but once you learned it, you could sort of extract answers from the nonsense,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it's like,
so
oh, well, they brought up this question now. Did Damon say this when he answered the question? Did he make a joke about wearing pants?
exactly,
Did he
that was all significant.
yeah, did he re-ask the question back to the questioner?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly. Or the way they answered it would imply certain assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could draw conclusions from that. And that was really important, I think, to actually have access to the people who are in charge of, all this
Yeah.
mess. And yeah, the season 2 podcasts were pretty exciting at the time. Because that was the next level. I didn't realize until later. I don't even remember where I found that out that Damon and Carlton had a podcast.
Yeah.
That was like I was
Yeah, that was a big
really
deal.
yeah. I was like, oh man. But yeah, then you realize what it is, and it's a little less exciting, but
Mm-hmm.
but it was always entertaining.
Yeah, they were definitely. It was at least entertaining to at least watch them waffle about with their answers.
Exactly, exactly. And in retrospect, I would love to have. This is never going to happen, but I'd love to have a commentary or something on their podcast where they explain what they're thinking.
Oh, I thought you were suggesting we do a commentary on their podcast. And
Oh,
talk.
that'd be cool too. Actually, that's actually possible because there's no way they're doing a commentary on their own
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
But I just sometimes like because I've listened to some of those old ones, actually, and I listened to a bit of the first Lost Lowdown as well, and you know, I sometimes I'm wondering like what are we thinking,
Mhm.
you know, because you can kind of tell from what we say, but it's just hard to erase the fact that I've seen the whole show.
Yeah.
And so everything we say, I'm thinking about what I know is going to happen,
Yeah.
and I just sort of, it's interesting to hear a snapshot of ourselves where we don't know what the show we're watching is going to be.
Mhm.
We don't know what the focus is going to be. And so sometimes we get on the right track, and then sometimes we just get way off.
Yeah.
Where we're just speculating about things that really don't matter in the least.
Yeah.
And we had no way of knowing.
Mhm. Yeah, I remember trying to, in those speculative moments, is trying to think about the future of the show or think about the next episode. Think about where the plot is going, and it's just this big haze of
Yeah.
possibility, And but I think I wouldn't want to do this work myself. I would love for someone out there to go through our theories of all those episodes and kind of tally up what we got right and wrong. I'm sure we got way more wrong than right, but it'd be interesting to see what our batting average is.
Yeah, I wonder if we had any good. I wonder if we had any really good theories at
Hmm.
some, that turned out to be just right, correct, or at least like interesting.
Well, I remember thinking in season 3 that the smoke monster was Jacob's brother. I remember thinking that fairly clearly, right?
Honestly, in retrospect, I feel like we should have had that theory.
We should have.
because like it seems obvious.
Yeah, it seems obvious that it's gonna have to be. It's gonna come down to some personal relationship, some personal
Yeah,
conflict.
yeah,
You're gonna need. It's like it's obvious. Hindsight. You're gonna need to have some actor emote that conflict and so it's just, yeah, exactly. We should have thought of something. I'm sure we got close to something, but I don't think I don't think we ever really got close to making them brothers, of course. But I'd be interested to hear what our early Smokey crackpot theories are.
yeah,
Outside of what the show was telling us it was. I'm curious what we thought it might have been, but I don't think we ever thought it was a person, right?
yeah. That's the big problem. I didn't know that Smokey was a guy,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that until the end of season 5. That's when they tell us, and so uh, even when I knew that he could appear as dead people,
Hmm.
I still didn't realize that made him a person.
Yeah, it made and I feel like again we should have realized that, but it seems like yeah, it made it seem like he was just this. He was doing something artificial.
Yeah,
He wasn't doing something natural by being a person and talking. He was doing something artificial by being a person
yeah,
talking.
exactly. Like some kind of machine or something.
Hmm.
Who could project itself.
Yeah, and it was using the human form to communicate, but it wasn't
Exactly.
a form it was used to or anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. That never occurred to me, and I think that was the big stumbling block. Like if I realized that it was a person, then
Hmm.
I think then I think it's natural to guess that it's some relationship to Jacob, and brother would be a natural one.
Yeah.
But assuming it's a man, so like I think uh I feel like that's something we could have guessed, but my thinking about the smoke monster was just not along those lines at all.
And I think we would have been hard pressed to guess that the smoke monster was the ultimate villain.
Yeah, that's true.
That it didn't seem like the ultimate villain would be shown so early in the show and not really
Yeah,
explored until the very end of the show.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Smokey was the guard dog maybe of the ultimate
Yeah,
villain, but not the ultimate villain.
yeah, yeah. For a long time, it kind of just seemed like an extra thing. Just put it on the pile. It's like, yeah, there's a smoke monster, and there's
Hmm. Well,
uh,
the island, right? That was the other thing. Was it seemed so metaphorical? The force that was doing this stuff,
yeah,
even through Jacob. It just seemed like, oh, the island wants this and the island wants that, and
right.
at some point they're gonna find a cave where they can talk to the island or something.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and I guess that's the problem. Like I didn't think of I didn't think of uh, you know the smoke monster as having a will and a consciousness and
Hmm.
wanting things and stuff like that. And it just I don't know until I think even up until season 6, honestly, like it just seemed like it was playing a supporting role
Hmm.
in the story, and it would just show up when it needed to. You know,
Yeah.
something would happen. Like it comes in to attack Kimi.
Yeah.
Ben summons it to save them.
Hmm.
And it's like okay, it's kind of like playing a necessary role.
Yeah.
And so it just seemed like it was sitting in the background, and like I figured one day, oh, the whispers, that's what I was going to say, like the whispers,
Hmm.
like, oh, or the sickness or whatever. I mean, I figured it would just be a thing like that where it kind of just hangs out in the back, or Adam and Eve, like it just hangs
Hmm.
out in the background as a mystery, and someday they'll tell us what the answer is, but it
Yeah.
won't matter that much,
Yeah.
Like I thought it would just be like, oh yeah, and the smoke monster is this,
Hmm.
just like, oh yeah, the whispers, yeah, they're this. Like that's how that was, and so I think that was surprising. I'm not 100% sure that's what they planned all along.
Yeah.
So that's the weird thing. I mean, like I kind of feel like it might have been more like the smoke monster was some kind of, you know, was some kind of guard dog type thing
Mhm.
originally, you know, and then there was a change. There was a change of heart about that at a certain point.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that causes some of the problems with what the smoke monster does before, we know what it is and what it wants,
Mhm.
you know, because I think some of those things are kind of weird with what it turns out to be later, you know.
Yeah, it does.
But uh but yeah, in general, like, so I guess my point is, I feel like the show wasn't really hinting to us that the smoke monster was the ultimate villain.
Mhm.
I feel like that wasn't really until season 5. I think that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
You know, and I think season 5 was the one where they decided that that was the case. So, you know, I guess that makes sense.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's been an interesting ride, So it's interesting to come back sort of full circle again, really, because we've talked about lockdown before. But to come back to lockdown and kind of see where it all started, the big impetus for the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. If you're interested, if you want to hear our original thoughts on lockdown, it was in the season 2 retrospective that we did. We did it between the break in the break in that happened in season 3. After
Hmm.
the first 6 episodes, there was a break of several months before it came back. I think they ran in like September, October or something,
Yeah,
and then there was a break until February, and they ran the rest of the season.
I
And
remember that
people
was
hated that
awful.
so much they never did it again.
I remember that was so it was so awful to wait like 6 episodes and then wait.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was bad. Nobody liked it, including David and Carlton, and they never did it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it. But anyway, so after we do a retrospective. Actually, I think we do retrospective of the entire season 1 and 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, Basically, the episodes that we hadn't podcast about already,
Hmm.
which started with Two for the Road. So yeah. Anyway, in there we talk about lockdown, I guess, and it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be like in the middle of season 3 speculation on lockdown. It's just
Yeah.
slightly different from what we would have said at the time,
Yeah, exactly.
because I think we already knew by then that it didn't look like the Blastor map was gonna matter that much.
Hmm.
So we might be a little more cynical about the whole thing
Just a little bit.
by that point. But I don't know if we fully, embodied our true deep cynicism yet, because I think
No.
I think I didn't really feel it until season 6.
Well, when you realize there was no hope left.
Yes, exactly.
That is
Exa-
cynicism, right? The absence of hope.
yeah, that's when it was sinking in. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, you know what? Really, I should have. It was there all along, and I just didn't admit it to myself."
Yeah, yeah. And I think that was the worst part was kind of going, "Oh, it's my fault for having hope,"
Yeah.
because the show was clearly saying it didn't matter. These things that you're clinging to, don't cling to those.
Yeah, it was saying that. And okay, I guess I have to digress a little bit. I have to say this because Lost was the first show that I really got into like this. I mean, I liked Twin Peaks and stuff before Lost, but I never watched it the way I watched Lost. I never really picked it apart.
Yeah.
I just kind of enjoyed it, but it wasn't like I was paying attention to details. And it was the first show where I really tried to like follow all the mysteries. I looked at all these details, all this behind the scenes stuff, all these podcasts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like every show since then I'm much more cynical about. I never I can care about the mysteries, but I from ever since Lost, I have this distance where I'm like, you know what? I better not get too invested in this, because there's a very high probability that either A, the answer will be unsatisfying, B, the answer will never come, or
Mm-hmm.
C, a retcon will happen and it'll be something I'll never think of.
Yeah.
You know, like any of those things, or even other stuff, will happen. So like I watched Alias,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a great show. I certainly recommend it to anyone who liked Lost. I think
I think if you like Lost, you'll really like Alias.
it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, it has its highs and lows like any show does, but like when it's good, it's really good. I
Mm-hmm.
think. But I never invested in the mysteries the way I did in Lost
Yeah.
because the whole time I was like, I just don't really believe that this is gonna pay off.
Yeah.
And you know what? I was right.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. But yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
just
I think the mysteries of Alias are really secondary. Lost starts with the mystery, right? That's the big difference. I think Alias has a mystery, but Lost is a mystery. These people crashing on an island and the crazy stuff that happens just in the pilot is the beginning of a crazy mystery. And Alias doesn't really happen. Like Alias is way more grounded, and then you kind of get exposed to sort of a long-term mystery. The action and spy stuff is really what it's about, and then a little mystery on top to keep you going. But Lost, I think, you don't know who these characters are. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what they want. They don't know what they are there for. I mean, that's mystery. They don't know where they are. They don't know what's in the jungle. Everything is a mystery when the show starts, and so I think there's a big emphasis on the mystery in Lost that isn't really there with Alias. So you don't feel the need to get as invested, and I don't think the mystery in Alias is as interesting because it's way more centered on it's way more character centric on a couple of characters than sort of this bigger idea of this metaphysical place that these people seem to be on.
That's true. One thing it has in common with Lost is like most of the characters on the show don't care about the mystery.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's another sign that I didn't pick up on when I was watching Lost originally.
Hmm.
But I think Alias, it's true, like the mysteries aren't as big a part of the show, and they're also not as interesting as the ones on Lost.
Yeah.
But I think also if you really scrutinize them, I think actually the mysteries make less sense on Alias than they do on Lost. You know,
Yeah, that
but
might be
I
true.
didn't get invested in it, so it
Hmm.
didn't bother me as
Yeah.
much. But I think if you follow the Rambaldi thing, like if you really try to understand what's going on there, I think
Hmm.
it really doesn't make sense. I mean,
Hmm.
I think it's really all over
It
the
makes
place.
sense in some seasons, and other seasons, no, not so much. I think it falls apart over
Yeah,
time.
no,
I
I
think.
mean in the show as a whole.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It falls apart over time. I think.
Yeah. And I never, even from the very first episode where they introduced it, I just don't believe this is gonna
You just
work
had
out.
your arms folded, and you're just like, I'm not gonna buy in.
Yeah, like I bought in to the extent that I cared, but I didn't fully invest in the
Yeah, you
mystery.
weren't trying to speculate about how it was going to unfold and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like my speculation was dialed down. It was like, what's gonna happen to the characters?
Hmm.
I didn't really go so far as to like understand Rambaldi. Like that
Yeah.
that never I never seriously tried to do that. And I I kind of regret it. So Lost sort of took my innocence. Because
Yeah, I wised you up.
I feel like pre-Lost me would have gotten into those things more so.
Hmm.
But I can't go back. I can't just forget what I know now
It's like
about.
you had a bad relationship and you learned your lesson.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And
You don't want to be hurt again.
exactly. I'm very cautious now. And I feel like I'm a better TV viewer. I'm more attentive to like what's really going on in television than I used to be.
Hmm.
But it is a trade-off. Like on the other hand, I don't fully dive into certain things as much as I used to, but I don't have as much disappointment.
Yeah.
So, it goes both ways
Yeah.
but for better or worse, like Lost changed everything for me in terms of the way I look at TV.
Hmm.
So and it all starts with this episode.
On that note, get your players ready.
Wow,
Couldn't have a better segue than that.
found a segue. I didn't even mean to.
Was that your first segue on the show? I think.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It could be. I'm usually not the segue guy. That's your thing.
Speaking of my things, let's go on to no. All right, so get your players ready. We'll sync up here and watch some Lockdown.
All right.
Let me know when you're ready.
I am ready.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great news, right? Oh.
Yeah.
All right, I'll lie to you.
No problem.
Well, he's got to choose him to get his keys back. Oh yeah, let's find that balloon. The balloon hunt.
I really don't understand how they use that map to find anything. Like, if you look at that map, it's just like some trees and a line and then balloon.
There it is.
Uh-oh.
Like, I would love to just stop right now and talk about why he said that to them, because I feel like that's
Yeah.
only for the audience to set up this tension.
Yeah.
Because he knows there's no one there. It can only put suspicion that he, upon himself with
Sure.
with Jack and Locke. It's like, what is what is
Yeah.
he rationally thinking? Is he doing besides making great television?
He's definitely doing that. No, funny you asked that because you had a theory about that on the last podcast that I just listened to, and it was that he's basically trying to sort of distract them and play them off each other and get a chance to escape.
Ah, that's right. Oh, okay, yeah, because if he says your guys are in danger, they're gonna go run out after them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That was your theory, which I think is a pretty good theory.
That's
actually.
a smart theory.
Yeah. Yeah, because I had the same question. It made no sense to me, but
Forgot I said that.
I think you solved it.
Boom.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I listened to it. Don't usually listen to the podcast, but I did this time. Oh, this obituary thing, this really reminds me of that thing from a while ago that you told me about. Like it was some like screenwriting tip where you have characters and you give them like one interesting trait, like they're a movie buff, you know, or they always wear Hawaiian shirts or something.
Yeah.
Helen's thing is that she reads the obituaries.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like that's totally a screenwriting trick.
Totally.
And I didn't really notice that before, but it's like otherwise there's nothing interesting about her. You know. And now he says he's joking.
Yeah.
I was joking. That was for the law.
That wasn't. Yeah, that wasn't funny.
Why aren't you laughing? Tough
room. Yeah. Look at Locke's face. I love his when he's pensive like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was his mouth was like askew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. And don't throw these dishes.
What's the worst thing I can say right now?
There he goes.
Yep.
What?
Locke wants to throw some dishes.
He does.
He'll throw him instead.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to take it out on you.
Mm-hmm.
He really wants to throw dishes.
does not exist.
Yeah, Saeed agrees with your theory.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the grave.
Hmm.
Wow, does it have? It has like rocks on top.
Yeah.
So Saeed had to like move aside all those. Spoiler alert! All those rocks. Woo!
It's probably not too many rocks.
In addition to digging it up. No, I mean it looks
But yeah,
like.
I think there's probably rocks on top of the, dirt, and then, hey, there's a balloon.
Oh shit! The balloon. Oh right, it stopped raining.
Yeah.
Nice.
Could they not see that in their field of vision when they were walking towards it? Like, seriously, it's orange and yellow, and
That's kind of weird. It's
yeah,
kind of weird. But it was a cool reveal.
yeah. So now, in the teeter totter seesaw of is Ben telling the truth or not, we're on. He's telling the truth. He's Henry Gale.
It backs up his story.
Yep.
His story was true. And it's nice that they hide the ending from us.
Mhm.
Because I think it leaves us with he must be telling the truth.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good setup for the ending. The baby again? Come on, Claire.
No, you just had your episode.
Yeah, it's you. We have no time for this.
Loop? What? Oh.
He's talking about being out of the loop. Get over it, Hurley. You're gonna be so in the loop.
Oh, you're gonna be so deep in the loop.
You're gonna be like the loopiest character on the
Loop
show.
King.
Libby. All right. Like it's the doctor's in. Like he's seeing patients now.
Yeah, she's making a joke. 10 loads?
That's a lot
That's
of
a lot of laundry. They
Wow.
shouldn't have that many clothes between the survivors.
They really
10
should.
loads. Because they all only have 2 outfits, right? At most. Or like this pair of pants and 2 shirts.
Yeah, seriously. At most, like what they packed and what they scavenged.
Why is he working out?
I guess to release tension.
Okay, that's fair.
It is a little weird to see him working out.
That's the only time ever I think he would.
Yeah, it's not something he does.
He didn't have his his knife and wood to whittle, I guess.
So did that just suddenly come on, or did he hear a
He
noise?
was playing it and then he heard this.
Oh, the noise. Okay, all right. Because I was like, there's no way that record player started by itself.
Hey, in the Swan Hatch, anything's possible.
That's creepy.
It is creepy.
It's a creepy icon.
It's like the evil sad face.
Exactly. It just looks like an emoticon. I don't like that. Or I do like that, but I don't trust it.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. Oh, this was so exciting.
It was.
It's like we're discovering things. Locke's gonna figure out the hatch.
Like, what does he think he's doing here?
I don't know, but he doesn't really accomplish anything.
No. Don't you know?
Ben, you know already. He doesn't though.
He doesn't.
He's actually clueless. It's a Carlton and Damon joint.
Yeah. That means it's a good one.
Those were always important episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I really realized that when this episode came on, but
Okay, yeah.
eventually I learned.
Yeah, if they were writing it, it was a big one.
Yeah, they would not just take crappy random episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right, his dad's dead.
Or so we think.
I wish he could go open the coffin and find it empty, but that's not gonna happen. What would this guy have done if they hadn't shown up?
Gone home early? I don't know. Who's that other guy?
Yeah, that's a good. It kind of seems like he's a bodyguard or something.
Yeah,
But
that was odd.
I don't know if he's because if he's attending, I feel like he should be sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just kind of standing there. It makes it seem like he's officiating or something.
Something, yeah.
Is it really worth saying any? This whole thing just seems weird. I feel like it would have been better for him if his dad were dead at this point.
Yes.
I guess that's obvious, isn't it?
Well, I guess maybe you could say in the long run for his character arc, it's glad he gets another chance to stick it to him, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but just for Locke's like mental.
Yeah, just for
state.
So, did we ever figure out what's triggering this and like why it's doing like why is it staticky and seem like it's not really working and
I don't think so. I don't think there's an answer for that. Like,
so this countdown is it synchronizing with the food drop maybe?
oh right, that was Charlie's theory.
Yeah.
And I guess that's true.
Shit.
I mean, I guess the encyclopedia tells us that that's true. It doesn't really make sense, but I think that is the answer.
I love that. Oh, I love that slide just to get the credit
Yeah,
card.
that was nice. Yeah, see, I think this is key. Like that shot because he's not acting for anybody.
Yeah,
That's a real reaction.
true.
Because Locke can't see his face.
Mm-hmm.
What he's saying
You
is
can't bet. I just bet. Sorry, that's one of the best Sawyer lines ever.
That is good.
Bet.
I remember this. This is great. I love the time in the show when like four main characters can just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah. They're not playing golf. They're playing cards instead.
Yeah. They have jack shit to do this episode. Like that's just the show is just not like this later on.
No.
They can't afford this. I think the thing they did later instead of this is these four characters just wouldn't be in this episode.
Yeah.
If they have nothing to do, they shouldn't be on screen.
Yeah.
But in season 2, they totally just gave him stuff like this. I don't know about that.
That sounded really sexual.
Yeah, dude.
You guys want some alone time?
That way, actually. Story's always doing half innuendos.
And I like that cut of I can play a hand or two, and then you see Locke's hand hit the thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a good transition.
But see, the thing about Ben is, even if he knew what was going on, he would still act scared, right?
Yeah,
that's
true.
what's weird. He would still have to act that way.
That's true. I feel like we would see him break.
Yeah, and I think he is legitimately wanting these answers he's asking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. Locked in.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was exciting. It was like the Hatch doing something new.
Oh, and this.
This is crazy.
It's like just when you thought the pre-island interactions were done, here's one you never saw coming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, season 2 they really got into this idea of crossovers.
Yeah, little Nadia.
They had the Ana Lucia and Sawyer thing. I'm walking here and all that. And also some others, but that was just like that was a weird one.
Oh, this is his own company. I just read his shirt. It said John Locke owner.
Really?
Yeah, he's not working for anybody. So I guess this is like him getting over his dad and being
his own company.
Self-made man here.
And then he goes and works for the box company. That's sad. I wonder if it failed.
Well, I think this is probably why. This didn't help.
His daddy,
Yeah.
yeah, he ruins everything.
That's what I was referring to.
I did ask you. I asked you if I could have your kidney, and you said yes. I don't really know what he means by you could have just asked.
I think he means he didn't have to use the deception that he was.
He didn't have to do the thing.
Honestly, I think the problem was he didn't want a son. I think that's really what I
Right.
get over.
Yeah.
He just his dad doesn't want a relationship with him. That's why he left. That's why he didn't ask nicely for the kidney. He didn't plan to stick around after that.
Yeah.
And
But it
this
shouldn't
is
be that shocking for him. I mean, he did give him up for adoption.
yeah, yeah. He does think you're stupid. Because this is that period of time where Locke is so sad and sappy, and
Yeah, and
the audiences around the world are like, please don't do this for him, Locke. Please don't do this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I and the sad thing is like this isn't even the worst it gets like as far as him accepting what people tell him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, he keeps doing this up until his death, literally.
Yep.
And
Some might say that's what gets him killed.
it is, and it's really sad. I mean, he totally lets Ben con him one last time before he chokes him to death.
It just still doesn't make sense. The lockdown still doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like crossed wires or something. No, sorry. It's the pallet drop, right?
Yeah, but even that, why lock in the people who are supposed to go get the food?
You gotta lock them in. They gotta lock them in.
And then is the entire place like what if you were in the computer room? You know, what if you were in wherever the shower is and all
I
that
think
stuff?
there's blast doors for that too. I think there's blast doors in the whole station.
Yeah, so everyone's just locked in.
I think so.
Now, what about this? What if you need to press the button, but you're locked in here?
You're fucked.
I think that's not a tenable situation to have. They should have thought of that.
What happens in this episode?
Oh, of course it is.
They end up needing to push the button and they're stuck.
Well, that's what I meant by what's going to happen. Guess we'll find out.
I remember thinking this was really important.
Mm-hmm.
He like makes him have this vow of loyalty, but it really doesn't matter. Like that never comes into. He's never like, remember you promised to protect me.
Yeah.
They never even talk about that again.
Look at that face.
I know.
It's like a wet puppy.
It is. That's what I was thinking. That's totally his puppy face.
Yeah.
Lux was like, please just be honest with me. And he's like, okay, sure thing.
Yeah, here's the lie I've been telling you the whole time.
Here's my lies.
He doesn't ask him where in Minnesota, what's the zip code,
Yeah.
you know, where'd you go to school?
Yeah. Ben probably could have made shit up, but
Yeah, but still. Make him work for the lie.
Exactly.
Such a weird transition between the intense drama of the lockdown and then how many papayas they have left over here.
Yeah, no, totally.
That always looks like a magic trick when he does that. Like he made two kings appear somehow.
Yeah.
Got all your fruit.
Oh, this big pile of fruit.
There's no more fruit in the jungle.
I know. Like, what kind of? I guess it's just play money.
It's just for fun, but still.
Yeah.
No, apparently it's not. He wants his fruit back.
I did enjoy Kate saying, "Should I go get a ruler?"
Yeah, that's one of her best lines.
That was a good one. Because that's literally what's going on here.
Yeah. Wait, so is he trading the medicine for the fruit?
No, I think he's going like they changed the stakes.
Oh, they're gonna play again for the medicine. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because he said, "I want to play for some real stakes."
Yeah. Lift with your legs.
Yeah.
They didn't have a plan here after
Exactly. That's the problem. They were just gonna start lifting, but they didn't
Yeah.
think about what to like put under it.
Yeah.
Wait, did something just power down? Like, what was that
I think
noise?
it's the servos in the wall like
Ah,
it's
okay.
down and then they kind of stopped once the weight got situated or something.
Those servos.
Servos.
No!
Love that. And it makes Ben seem like he knows what's gonna happen.
It does.
The weight. No shit, you gotta stop the door. No, this is really sad. We know Locke's history with his legs, so it
It's
seems
true.
very cosmic in a way that well, good thing he didn't go head first, right?
Yeah, totally.
Because I would have maybe been tempted to go on my stomach and go in head first.
Me too. Me too.
But of course they're writing this, so they get to do it the least deadly way.
It's true. I mean, I would have wanted to clear my head first,
Yeah.
because like I wouldn't want to do head last.
No. And try to pull yourself out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
15-16, you see that?
Did of course they throw in a number reference.
Of course they did.
Bastards. Like it matters.
Hey, those were somebody's numbers. I forget who.
Oh yeah. I don't remember who was number what. I think Locke was 4.
Something like that.
I think Jack was 8, or was he 23? Nah, he was 23. And then yeah, somebody was in there. Saeed maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hurley. I remember Jin was, or son or whoever it was 42. I'm from Generic Gangsters Casting.
Yeah, exactly. Me and my friend in the suit and the gold chain back there, we're a pair.
It's a package deal. I feel like they audition the same way they play this scene.
Yeah.
I think you should give us this job, because
What's Helen gonna do? Was she really about to hit him? Come on.
it really seemed that way.
That's
Gonna
that
hold
fake
his
drama
back.
they do.
She's trying to like get in his face.
Yeah. Your mama. Wouldn't that have been a great line?
It would have. It would have. I wish there was. I wish there was one Yo Mama come back online.
Just one.
Just one. That's all I need. I will totally go home satisfied. Mr. Gold Chain is gonna open it up.
That's what he's there for.
Did you really have to dump it like that?
Yeah. You know, there's some universe of Lost where these guys, we see them, like in season 6 or something, in the
Mhm.
parallel, doing something else, working for Kimi or
They
something.
could have been totally with Kimi. That would have
Yeah.
worked if they wanted to bring him back.
My scared face look a lot like my lying face.
Man, every time people give hugs, that's their opportunity to like make a face.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever I just said, I'm gonna contradict it with my face.
FaceTime.
Oh
Oh
no, the
God, getting a
reference.
tattoo.
Oh no, they're previewing. They're pre. Oh my God, Stranger in a Strange Land.
Oh, I can't
It's
wait.
coming. It's coming. I actually used to think that was interesting. I don't know why. I've forgotten why. But it made Jack seem cool at the time.
It did. Well, it gave him a new dimension. He wasn't as straight laced as we thought he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Too bad it was just uninteresting.
But now I just wish they never told us.
Yeah. I tried to escape already.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to admit. But I guess fair.
Yeah. So I forget. Like, are we thinking Ben Ben didn't know what this thing did? Like, I mean, obviously from the Pearl Station, he
Yeah.
saw into here,
Yeah.
but it's possible that he never actually came to this station and saw. Because I don't know. I don't know. There's cameras in the living area, but not necessarily in the computer room.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I guess because Dharma held up in here,
Mm-hmm.
Kelvin and Desmond and stuff. Well,
Yeah,
Desmond wasn't armed,
the
but
entrance was hidden and all that. So,
the hostiles never invaded it, I guess is what I'm
but
saying.
he's got access. Like the flame station, presumably has info on all the
That's
stations.
true. That's
So
true.
he could have.
I remember thinking that he faked that.
It still looks fake, but still. I think what he faked was staying down.
Ah, okay.
Like,
Yeah, yeah,
come on. I don't know.
yeah.
But I'm just wondering if the idea is like he never got into the Swan Station because he never could find it, But seems
Right.
like he could have. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the others knew about the um the incident, you know.
Hmm.
They knew where the Swan Station was in general, I
Oh, of
think.
course, yeah, of course they knew, yeah, because they attacked that location and all that stuff.
And they knew they knew from the Pearl what was going on inside. So I feel like he should have some idea of what pushing the button does.
All my mangoes. Not only are they're playing poker, but there's a whole group of important people just watching them play.
It's with binoculars. Like that's
Yeah. Like how far are they that they need nobody else needed binoculars.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love this.
Oh shit.
Now we know who would win in that ruler contest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great line from Jack.
It was. It was.
You're one to talk.
I know. Hey, he's got an excuse. He's pinned down.
Oh God, what happened? You don't remember falling?
Really seems like he's faking that.
Yeah, that was a fake question. You're on the floor. What do you think happened?
Like I feel like he's not supposed to be faking this, but like it just seems really fake. But I really didn't trust him to push the button.
No.
And I was convinced. That's creepy.
That is a creepy look. The lighting from the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what you do when you're trying to make a ghost face.
yeah, totally. Oh my god. Yeah. I remember at the time I was like, he did something.
Mm-hmm.
Like that we're gonna find out that he did something when he was over there because we don't see him. Like they only show him going up in the vent. They don't show what he does in
Yeah.
the room.
And I think he's doing something on that computer. I think he's messaging the others or
He could
something.
totally be doing that.
Because we know when Walt communicates, well, Walt in quotes, communicates
Yeah.
with Michael on that thing. I mean, Ben knows that computer's there.
Yeah, 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 totally. You're right. You're right. He very well could have communicated, and they should have revealed that,
Mhm.
but they just didn't.
Deleted scene.
Yeah, yeah. One of the many. Oceanic, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
If we needed another crossover, which we didn't. It's a money bag. You know, I got really like he did say in that other scene that he ran some con or something, but I remember at the time I got confused by people calling this a con.
Yeah, I remember that.
He just told him to pick up some money, and he picked up the money and brought it to him. And
Yeah, there's
really
nothing really con here.
he never said like "I'll be your friend" after or anything. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't really trick him with anything.
yeah, it wasn't like the kidney thing. The kidney thing was a con.
Yeah.
Lock face.
Lockface. I know, because he's saying, "Cause I love you, Dad," and he can sense that, and that's why he wants to get
Yep.
out of here.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I ate
Dad,
this.
grow some balls, son. That was the subtext there.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I'm gonna see you on the island.
Uh-oh.
Oh shit.
Helen has trust issues. Mm.
I could push you out a window for that.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah. The face. I got a lot of money. Pile of money. Anything?
Well, your dad was gonna leave you no choice but to go with Helen, but
Yeah, now this is just crazy. It's really bad timing.
it's his last ditch effort. What? How else can he prove
Yeah.
it? You know, his commitment.
Yeah. No, you're right. I guess that's the idea. Like, if I didn't mean it, I wouldn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just seems to her like desperation, which is what it is.
Yeah. He should have maybe done this before he went to see his dad.
Totally. Yet another sad moment.
Yeah. And I love that shot of her driving away, and then you see the dad in the background.
Yeah.
John's on one knee. He looks
He
so
gets to
pitiful.
see him like humiliated.
Yeah, he gets to see her say no to him.
Yeah.
I mean, all that's missing is a bird shitting on his face.
Yeah, totally.
You know, or something from that plane hits him, or just like that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. He steps in a mud puddle.
Yeah.
Henry!
Maybe he should be shouting Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Oh, shit.
Call me crazy, but the blast door. Oh shit.
I think something might be about to happen. Speaking of blast doors.
Like, we need to talk about why this makes no sense. Like that the lights go out when he enters the code or whatever happened.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
Oh, man.
The most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Whoever designed this did a really good job.
Yeah, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
Look at that in the eye.
The eye shot. That's really cool. Oh, man.
All right, everybody at home, freeze frame, and then let's discuss what we see.
I hope you DVR'd that. We are going to have to look at that later.
And I love that it's a quick flash and then it's over.
Yeah.
And then, like, Henry doesn't get to see it either.
And that's literally more or less all we're ever going to see.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's pains.
Well, why move out of the way now?
I know, it's worthless, but... So what were you saying about the blast door?
I forgot. I was gonna say I think the blast door should open if the button is going off.
Yeah.
I think that should just be programmed into the machine. Like if it's time to press the button, those doors need to open. It doesn't make any sense that they don't.
Yeah, in the season finale they show Kelvin like rigging it so that the door comes down and the lights go on. So maybe there we'll get an answer about how it works. 'Cause I don't remember exactly what they show, but that's the closest we get to an answer.
Yeah, and it's weird that the lights went out.
And it didn't involve the button at all. Yeah, I don't know why the lights went out. But they do something to make the lights go out. I think they just mess with the electricity. That's the thing. I think Kelvin like had some wires undone in the walls, and maybe that's what causes some of this like weird shit to start going off.
Yeah, I guess they're just supposed to say it's sort of unpredictable what's happening here, but still.
Yeah.
But no other times does someone enter the button and the lights go off.
It's true. It's true. I mean, it is
Enter the
old,
code, I should say.
but yeah.
I've been left by so many people.
I'll never leave you, Locke.
Oh, jeez. I might kill you, though.
I'm gonna kill you like 2 times.
Oh, Kate's always following.
Mm-hmm. Those awesome torches.
Mm-hmm.
This is like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the shower club, so... Got a cracked pipe.
Like, you guys are really gonna unearth the plumbing to find where the pipe is cracked?
They lost their minds. Start fixing pipes.
I even have that line.
Or, yeah.
Lying, I guess.
Yeah. They just spoiler alert, they never talk about the pipes again.
No.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Is that what they call it now?
As always, something
Uh,
interrupts. You're just about to have a walk to the beach. As if there weren't enough cool shit in this episode.
right? Exactly.
They're
Yeah.
just piling it on.
Literally piling it on.
Like, it's amazing that they have this and the other thing that hasn't happened yet.
Hmm.
Of course, the ultimate reveal about where this came from was like deeply disappointing, but man, was this cool at the time.
This was insane.
Because like it seemed to suggest like stuff about
It's
Dharma.
and that whatever operation here is still going.
Exactly.
It's not defunct like it appears.
Exactly. And it made it seem like they were a part of some experiment or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Like
Which
feeding the rats in a maze.
exactly, which is something I think they wanted us to consider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was an interesting cross section between mysteries. Like Saeed came back with an answer and
Oh,
then discovering
shit.
a mystery.
You're right. He had the answer already in that scene.
Hmm.
They just haven't revealed it to us yet. So at the time, I thought he was lying, but in retrospect, I think that's probably true.
I don't know. He's gotta did more than just that. I don't know.
Okay, maybe he did more than that, but I mean, the story about the doors coming up and the lights coming back on.
Yeah.
I feel like that part was true.
Oh, that's the other thing, right? So we know one thing Saeed knows, but he has something else to say.
Exactly.
That's a cool twist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we don't understand. He's been validated this whole time.
Yeah. The last we saw was the balloon.
Yeah, and he just helped Locke, so we really trust him now.
And Saeed's speech here is really great.
Uh-oh. But you have no hands.
I love this. It was true,
So wild attention.
but I did not believe it to be true. That doesn't look like Michael Emerson.
The island turned him white.
It turned him white. Lost.
Yeah, that's what we're supposed to believe, right? Like he hasn't seen him. He hasn't seen himself in a mirror, so he doesn't know that he's
No.
white. So
Looked like that. What are you talking about?
what you talking about?
That's me.
Oh man, that's great. Great episode. I mean,
Great
the only thing that could have made this episode better is if the Jack Sawyer poker playing plot line was some action or something more interesting than
Yeah.
that's the only thing that could have turned this up to 11. Like,
Yeah, that was a filler.
yeah,
They didn't really have anything going on in that. But other than that, every subplot was good,
hmm,
and even the flashback was pretty good.
yeah.
Like, it was really all working. They really did a good job with that episode, and giving us so much. You know, like in a typical episode, like one of those reveals or mysteries would be enough. You know,
Yeah, totally.
Flash door map by itself, the pallet drop by itself, or the reveal that Harry Gale's another by itself
Hmm.
are all enough
Yeah.
for one episode to give us, you know. But they give us all three in one episode, which is just like so much to chew on.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's really. I mean, no wonder we went crazy after this episode. I mean,
Totally.
there's so much going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really exciting. And I think, you know, because it was preceded by like the whole truth, which like, you know, wasn't as bad as I remembered it being, but you know,
Mhm.
it wasn't like it didn't really set the world on fire. Like getting this, it was like, oh shit, Lost is back. Like they're going crazy now. You know?
Yeah,
'Cause even in season 1, like I don't think we got an episode where they gave us that much in terms of mysteries and reveals in one episode.
no, not at all.
A lot of shit. And if you look at this, I mean, there's the Blastor map, like I guess we find out in the season finale that Kelvin Druid, and I guess Redzinski actually was the one who started it.
Mm-hmm.
And then but also like all the stations on the Blastor map, like we don't really see all of those until fairly deep into the show. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
4 or so before we get to the end of that. And the pallet drop, they don't answer until literally the last thing they filmed for Lost.
Mm-hmm.
The new man in charge, like epilogue thing.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
And I mean, Ben being another obviously was rather significant.
Yeah, it's so well done the way the misdirection and the again is he another, is he not, back and forth, and then you don't know whether to trust him, and then you see him helping Locke, you see him seem to be proven by the balloon and by the grave and all this stuff, and then I love that they didn't show. It's so important in terms of writing that they did not show Saeed digging up the grave, because when he comes back and he's upset, the audience has no idea why. They're confused.
Yeah.
He just proved that he was him. What are you doing, Saeed? And then it's like, nope, here's some more information you didn't know.
And that's what I love about his speech, like the way it's written, the way he says, "We found what you said. We found the balloon. Your story was true, but I didn't believe it to be true."
Yeah.
And that's when you start to realize, oh my God, what did he do?
Mm-hmm.
He dug up the grave. He did what? He found what? Like, and it just it blows your mind in a way that if they actually showed the way it happened, it wouldn't have worked as well.
Yeah, and I think that shows Saeed's character. I feel like Ana Lucia and Charlie would not have dug up the grave. They would have been satisfied with what they saw.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm obviously that was his thing. Like, no, I'm digging this grave up. We're gonna see a woman's body in there before I get out of here.
Yeah.
And like that was it. And that's how they got the reveal. And it's really it's good for Saeed's character too. Like, it's not just an interesting reveal. It also works just dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Lost is really working, I think. When they have this synergy between what the characters are going through and the plot.
Yeah.
I think that's when it works at best. And so it's cool because it's not really like, it's not a Saeed-centric episode, but he gets a moment. His greatest moments is that, in this Locke episode.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Very well done. It's I mean, if you weren't already hooked in the show, this is gonna hook you.
Yeah, it did set up the mystery of Henry Gale and what happened to him, which they never addressed, which is fine.
Yeah, you just have to assume. I assume it's much like when the others are having their book club and A15 crashes, and it's a similar thing of they see a balloon crashing, and Henry just instructs some henchmen to go out there and check it out, and then they end up just killing the guy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and it totally makes sense. And he had the letter. I mean, they didn't even have to interrogate him that much for him to know the information.
Yeah.
That he had, like, because just from the letter he could have and the the driver's license and stuff, he could have known he was from Minnesota and who he was married to and stuff like that. But I think the big mistake was
leaving the license.
Yeah, leaving the license.
I was gonna say that because we definitely have made that point before, but I want to add that with the idea that that it wasn't Ben who buried him or killed him, but somebody else. That could have been an oversight.
Right.
That wasn't necessarily Ben's plan
That's
to
true.
take his persona, but in the situation of getting caught, he was told by you know what's his name? I can't think of the guy's name. Who's the guy with Juliet? Oh, I'm blanking on
Goodwin.
it. Goodwin, yeah, Goodwin or Ethan. One of those two is probably the guy who killed Henry Gale.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, they're the ones who, committed the murder and buried or
Right.
whatever, and then relayed the information to Ben about this stuff, so Ben could use
Yeah.
it. But that detail was overlooked because Ben wasn't necessarily the one who did it. So I'll buy that, and he's got to get caught by something.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. It's just that like because Ben, in general, like he's big on improvising, but he's also big on like long-term diabolical planning. I
He majored in that in college.
Yeah, exactly. It really should be on his business card in
Yeah,
a factual way.
yeah,
That's
seriously.
literally something he does.
Yeah.
Uh, because he planned it in advance. We know from the Nikki and Paul episode. Like he planned in advance that he was going to go there, and you know. I mean, eventually the plan was to get Jack to do the surgery, but forgetting about that, he knew he was going to take a fake identity, and so he probably knew in advance it was going to be Henry Gale.
Mhm.
You know, I feel like he should have had the foresight to rearrange the grave situation to match the story he was going to tell.
Mhm.
You know, put a woman's body in there and get rid of Henry Gale himself. Put him somewhere else.
I have to assume he didn't. He thought something else was gonna happen. Like he didn't think that they were necessarily gonna dig up the body or necessarily go to the grave, or thought he would accomplish his mission faster or something. Maybe. But I agree. I think Ben on his best day would have not made those mistakes.
Yeah, I mean it's just a loose end. Like he could have betted on he like I think
He could have
un-
said Henry Gale was his flying partner, and they both went
yeah,
together. And his name is something else.
that was the other version of the story. Like he could have, instead of going to the trouble of like rearranging the crime scene, he could have just told a story that was consistent with what was there,
Yeah.
and then it wouldn't have caused the problems. But I think it is fair to say like it wasn't reasonable for him to think they would dig the grave up.
Yeah.
Because like if I found that, I wouldn't have been like, okay, let's dig this grave up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I would have been convinced. And that's why I say it's cool because he goes the extra mile.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and I think there's something about, of course, his character in his past of being an interrogator. He knows when
yeah,
someone's lying. He's got that sixth sense about that stuff. So he's gonna go the extra mile and dig up the grave.
yeah, yeah. He's gonna make like 100% sure. Like, okay, I'm gonna see the body before I really believe this story.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was it was but yeah, I just I mean you're right, they had to find out about him somehow, but I just in retrospect I don't know, I sort of wish he had planned it better, but at the same time it's reasonable that he didn't. So
Yeah.
if I'm being fair, I can let it go.
Yeah. I mean, he did a good job. It was a little small trip up.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, I remember at the time there were still people saying, that even though he wasn't Henry Gale, maybe he still wasn't another.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just lying about something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like and Lost just kills you with that kind of stuff because
Yeah.
you feel like there's never an end to the reveals.
Mm-hmm.
But but yeah, sometimes they give you a trustworthy reveal.
And then you don't trust it. That's the thing. It's the show that cried wolf, right? It's like they
Yeah,
they
that-
lie to you so much that when they tell you the truth, you don't believe it.
yeah, yeah. That's the problem. That's the problem. And And there's no resolution for that. You just have to like pick the ones you're gonna believe and hope it works out.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And in this case, of course, we know that it will work. But it is interesting because you know we we didn't know at the time, and actually it hadn't been determined at the time. I think um, uh, that Ben was going to be on the show for so long,
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
or that he was going to be the leader and stuff. The fact that he was another didn't really tell us that much about him.
Mm-hmm.
you know. So there's still like all this stuff yet to come. But I think in retrospect, like because of the importance of his character in the long-term plot, I mean, I think it works that there's so much like business about him in the beginning.
Yeah, totally.
You know? Because like it would have been kind of lame, I think. It wouldn't have been as good if he was just some background other later on. Or he just ends up dying or something. Whatever they would have done the original plan if they cast an actor that they didn't like as much as Michael Emerson.
Yeah.
Like that it would have been to spend like multiple episodes on this arc, like wouldn't have been as interesting.
Yeah, totally.
It was really good for the show, I think, that happened.
So let's dissect the Blast Door map, shall we?
Oh my god.
I mean, there's so much here that we need to inspect.
Yes, please, let's do it. I haven't really looked at this thing for like I when I saw it on the screen, I saw more than I did, when I originally watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess because I'm so familiar with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember this version where they sort of they transcribed all the stuff.
Yeah, they kind of make it nice and neat looking. Yeah, if you look at Lostpedia, they have a good version of the Blast Door map where you can just read everything straight off.
Yeah. I remember saying about the wrath of the gods being slow. That was cool. I am here. There are dragons here. Like
Yeah, that's Smoke. That has to be about Smokey.
yeah, you're right. That's definitely.
It's a bad plan that can't be changed is one of my favorite things
Oh
on here.
yeah,
That's such a great line.
Yeah, right. Right. That was the Latin one, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, a mouse does not rely on just one hole.
I think again that's Smokey.
Yeah.
Maybe. I like that. Don't consider that anything has been done if anything is left to be done.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting way to look at a situation and go, well, there's something left to be done. How do I know that anything was done?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what that means, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has all these little things, and it's just there's so much little information here you can read into, like fatalities 5. Like what? What do you when? Where? Why? How?
Right. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I think we're on the same wavelength. Like,
Yeah, and I was wondering, does that mean like he's getting transmissions from some other
yeah.
place, and he's tuning in, like,
Yeah.
um,
And here's the AH/MDG incident
yeah.
of 1985. Oops. I don't
Uh-oh.
I don't think that year is correct. But
Suspected shutdown date 10/28/84. So this thing about alleged location of number 4, the flame, like he should know where the flame is.
yeah, it shouldn't be that mysterious.
Now, unless you could say Kelvin wrote that, and because Rosinski should know where all the stations are.
Yeah, definitely. Radzinski does know, so yeah, maybe that's Kelvin.
Yeah.
They never really told us who did what.
Yeah.
I also wonder what these like C things are with the dotted outlines, like C47 with the dotted outline.
C47. Oh, I always thought the dotted outlines were other stations.
Oh, okay. Right, there's stations where he just didn't know the names and
Yeah.
what they were, so he just gave them numbers and stuff.
Subterranean conduit.
Yeah, Yeah, the Cerberus thing's weird. People definitely latched onto that name, the Cerberus system,
Mm-hmm.
catastrophic malfunction of Cerberus system. Like that's strongly hinting that Smoke.
Smokey's he's some engineered thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think they at least talked about that idea. And I feel like also the sonic fence suggests that as well.
Yeah.
The fact that they had technology that repelled it. I feel like they never really explained that adequately.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, they never even had Dharma talk about the smoke monster. So like it's I don't know, it's kind of annoying. We have no basis for
Yeah, I
knowing.
guess we never saw like the first encounter they had with the smoke monster,
Yeah,
and them
or
going,
any encounter they had with the smoke monster.
yeah, like
You know?
how did they come up with that technology?
Exactly. Like the only time we see it, it's after they're all dead.
Mm-hmm.
That we see it going up against, and they had the fences in '77 when they were there because we saw them.
Yeah.
Like what's her name used it on them
Yeah, I guess
when they
maybe we were
walked
supposed to
through.
think it was just a normal defense that just coincidentally happened to keep out the smoke
It
monster.
just happened to work. Yeah, yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah, there's so much. There's these CVs, like there's the CV2 next to the Swan. So what does that mean? Cerberus vent? Oh, I guess I just cracked that code.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I was
That's
like,
totally
what does
what it is.
CV mean? Yeah,
The Cerberus.
Cerberus vent.
Yeah,
Okay, so these are all the CVs.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's it's just this just gets me going. This is kind of stuff. These kind of details and all these acronyms and
Oh, there's a Valenzetti reference on here.
yeah.
Into that stuff.
What was DIHG again? Dharma Initiative. What's
Oh,
HG? The no, not the Groot.
yeah. I remember at the time thinking Hanzo de Groot or something,
Hanzo.
but
Hanzo.
I have no idea what HG is actually.
Maybe the G is just group, like Dharma Initiative Hanzo group.
Hanzo Group, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That would work. That would work. I mean, it's really the Hanzo Foundation, but maybe the Hanzo Foundation is a part of the Hanzo Group.
Well, and he's not necessarily being, accurate here.
That's true. That's true.
Uh,
That's the other problem with the Blastor map. It's not a reliable
yeah.
source. I mean, like he wrote like square root of 16, square root of 64, square root of 225.
Yeah, like why would you write that?
Like that's just weird. I've
So
no idea
wait, that's
what it means.
4, 8,
Yeah,
15?
4, 8. Is it 15? Yeah.
Probably. Those are numbers.
Is that right?
Actually, yeah, and see right across from it, x equals 4, or no, x4, y8, z15.
Ah, so it was just a crazy way to write 4815.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Gotta put some math on here, right?
Yeah. I guess that's not quite as strange as it seemed. Fatalities 5. That's really weird. Um yeah, was that from the purge? Like
Yeah, I wonder. Well,
wonder
no,
what
not the perp. Way more than 5 died. I was thinking
yeah,
maybe
clearly the purge.
maybe the attack on the Swan when they killed, like I'd be
Ah,
interested to see how many people got killed when during the attack.
right. Alleged location. That's so strange. But yeah, that's probably Kelvin because Kelvin got recruited pretty late, you
Yeah,
know. So by the time he got there, maybe there wasn't a lot of orientation,
yeah,
and he was just like, okay, you gotta go to your station. Like things are getting really really tight, like security wise.
oh, that's right. Some of this stuff is crossed out.
Yeah, there's a crossed out station up there. There's some crossed
Yeah,
out parts on Swan. I don't really know why.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't know what H3 is.
H3 is I don't know. So those X's are the entry points. We
Oh,
know that. Those X's on the stations are the entry points.
yeah, that makes sense.
So H3 is something you can enter, whatever it is. It's something you can enter. It's some sort of structure. So what kind of
Yeah.
structure would be near the Swan? Um, the only thing I can think that might be relevant is where the food drop was, but it wasn't exactly, it wasn't a station, of course, or any place you could
Right.
enter. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Something they never discovered.
I
I
love
don't
how
know.
the Swan is the only one that has two entrances, or
Right.
at least from the
Yeah.
map. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the most elaborate one.
yeah.
Uh oh, the Dharmatel internet. I remember
Oh,
that.
that's right. Where's that at?
It's down at the bottom, just to the bottom right of I am here.
Oh, okay. Darmatel intranet.
So internet or intranet actually.
Yeah, intranet, please.
Intranet. Sorry. And then what was the thing I just saw? No connection to island-wide EEP network.
Yikes.
I don't know what that's about.
So that PRD every 6 to 8 months, like pallet drop, right? Or some sort of
Oh, yeah.
uh provisional reserve drop. What does PRD mean?
Yeah, it's something drop. I agree with you about drop.
Yeah.
It's oh, but no,
Ration. Pallet ration drop maybe?
it yeah, 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 that makes sense. This thing over here on the right, activity minimal during lockdown and restocking procedures. I think that suggests that that the lockdown is connected to the
Oh,
pallet.
periodic restocking drop?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Restocking drop. Periodic let's go with periodic restocking drop.
That's the most complicated way to say what that is.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they were
I
thinking.
like that they knew where the Black Rock was slash Magnus
The
Hanzo.
final resting place of Magnus
And how does he
Hanzo.
know Hanzo got killed with everybody else by Smokey? How did he identify the body? Or I guess he just knew he captained that ship and knew that his body was around somewhere, but like he
Yeah.
shouldn't have necessarily found the remains or
No,
been able to identify them.
it's even worse than that. Like Smokey didn't even kill him. He died like just in the crash, like in the
Oh,
crash
that's
on
right.
Cabin. It's actually one of my favorite like horrible moments from Lost. The like when they crash and we hear someone outside the Black Rock and they go,
The captain's
Captain
dead.
Captain Hanzo's dead.
Yeah, yeah. You don't even get to pretend to see him.
No, it's like that's it. That's all you get. You're welcome, America.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you and good night.
It's like really, like they just totally dodged the Captain Hanzo bullet. They were just
Yeah.
like, no, we are not fucking with Hanzo in season 6. No way. I don't care what you say.
The meteorological research. I feel like we can figure out what that's about.
Yeah,
I don't know though. What research was Dahmer doing? Like the not the orchid. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. There's some weather projects. Isn't there a? Oh no no no. That's on the other one, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought there was something about the Cygnus, but I think that's actually on the mural.
So I like the idea of the disease worsens with the treatment. The remedy is worse than the disease. If they're
Yeah.
talking about the sickness and like the vaccine injections, that would be interesting. The idea of like having to take the injections is worse than the disease because the disease isn't anything. Like there's actually no symptom. We never saw anyone with medical symptoms of a disease
Yeah.
that was identified. Outside of the fertility issues.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that makes sense actually. That's reasonable. Oh, and here they have this thing about the polar bears. Stated goal: repatriation, accelerated deterritorialization of
Oh
Earth's
yeah.
emeritus through gene therapy and extreme climate change. There's your polar bear answer.
There it is. They're trying
Welcome,
to
America.
deterritorialization them. Of course.
Yeah. Repatriation and accelerated deterritorialization. Some very Latin-y words there.
Hmm.
What does that say? Oh, yeah.
So here's this thing about cabling for infrastructure. I wonder if that's the cable Saeed finds that goes to what is it, the mirror
Oh, yeah,
on
the looking
the
glass.
looking glass.
Yeah, you were close. You were close. It's the cooler name for a mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, and over here on the right, it's the pearl question mark.
The
That's
question
kind of
mark.
weird because it doesn't really. It's like, the pearl?
The pearl.
It's just some note. I don't know.
Like they read that somewhere and didn't know what it referred to, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. They didn't realize that's the big question mark in the middle.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah, they should have realized with a name like the Pearl, it's got to be a station, right?
Yeah,
Although Arrow is the only one without a the in front on the map, at least, but still,
that's true.
all of the other ones are the and then some object.
Yeah, and I think that one is the arrow. It's just not written that way for some
Yeah,
reason. I mean, it had its own logo and stuff.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it said the arrow on its logo.
Save yourself from hell.
Yeah. Save yourself from hell. Yikes.
Yeah, I think there's just a couple of lines here that to me at least kind of just seem like the psychology of whoever's writing this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lift up your heart 3 times.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, totally.
I think therefore I'm depressed.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
definitely
that's
that.
something a sciency guy is gonna say,
Yeah,
in a bad situation.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of shit on here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff,
I have to
and
say.
some of it, I mean, now that we know everything, some of it you can actually dissect and come up with some idea of what the idea is, which is nice.
That's true. That's true. I like, yeah, in retrospect, like it's not all nonsense. Like there's some stuff on here that's a little bit wrong, but I think the point is that studying this really didn't help anything.
Nope.
You know?
Because
Like,
even if you know that the pearl is the question mark, it doesn't tell you what the pearl
yeah,
does.
that doesn't tell you anything about it. It doesn't tell you what the flame does either. That has its
Uh,
own story. It doesn't really. I mean, it doesn't explain much of anything about Dharma or what they were doing with these stations or Cerberus or any of that stuff.
yeah.
So like it's consistent with the show more or less, but it doesn't really pay off to. I mean, it's fun to look at, I guess, but it's in terms of like figuring out mysteries on the show, like
Mm-hmm.
it's not particularly useful. But it is interesting to look at it again. I really haven't looked at it in detail.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, there's all these different variations on the color scheme that they have on here. It's pretty interesting. What is this thing? Huh. Well, Lockdown, you know,
Yeah,
great episode.
it was. It really was. I think this is definitely one of the better episodes of season 2. No question.
Definitely.
It really, I think it it brings to a head, like, I think a lot of stuff about the season. Like uh we have more stuff about Dharma, the drop and stuff. We got more stuff
Mm-hmm.
about the Swan Station specifically, with all this extra shit, the map and the lockdown, all that stuff. And then the other big thing for this season has been the others,
Mm-hmm.
which then we get, hey, there's another here, you know. So I think they're developing all the plots. We get significant development on all the fronts, and that always makes for a satisfying episode. You know, and it's always disappointing when you watch an episode and you feel like nothing really happened.
Yeah.
You know, and there's some shows I watch where I feel like that sometimes. But I think you're right. The only thing is the sitting around playing poker. Like that's kind of a waste of time. Those scenes were fine. I think they were reasonably entertaining to watch, but you definitely don't need them.
Yeah. And it's a clear diversion from, to isolate Locke and Ben
Yeah,
in the hatch, because Jack is trying to get there the whole episode.
yeah, you're right. You're right. That's totally the what's going on there. That's
Mm-hmm.
true. It was kind of a contrivance, but it's not. It wasn't as annoying or boring as the when they played ping pong later,
Yeah.
or the tree frog thing,
Definitely
or
better than the tree frog.
the, or even the golf. You know,
Yeah.
like
Maybe because there was actually some character related stuff actually happening between Jack and Sawyer
yeah,
here, and
yeah,
and that you don't really get from who's going to win the golf game.
yeah. No, I think long term, like Jack and Sawyer definitely have an interesting relationship, and I think it continues for up until the end, really.
Yeah.
Their whole thing. I mean, Sawyer not trusting Jack and letting the bomb go off on the submarine. Like
Mm-hmm.
the thing with Juliet, and letting her die for the bomb and changing the future and all that stuff. I think they had and him getting left on the island in general. Like
Yeah.
I think Jack and Locke's thing was much more epic, but Jack and Sawyer had their own little sub thing going on.
What was Sawyer's line to Jack? You're the only friend I ever had, or something.
Yeah. The closest thing I had to a friend.
Yeah, I like my line better.
Sorry.
But his line is better for his character. But yeah, okay, I remember that.
Yeah. And I was shocked when he said that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, really? That's sad.
It is very sad. Yeah.
Because, like, Jack, I don't even think Jack likes you.
Yeah. He put himself out there to say that.
Yeah, he did. He did. And, yeah, in general, like, as we've mentioned every other podcast these days, Sawyer is like a fine wine. Like,
Uh-huh.
he's just so much better now than he was the first time.
Yeah.
And so I just enjoy scenes with him so much more than I did the first time.
Yeah, they do. There's a couple of times where you really can't sympathize with him, but usually, even when he's being Sawyer, he's interesting, and I think he had a great arc in this show, showing what he's capable of, and stuff like that. It was been pretty interesting, more so than a lot of characters.
Yeah. I think at this point he's actually past the point where he's ever going to be a bad guy again.
Yeah.
I think his last turn at that was the Long Con, where he's like, there's a new sheriff in town and all that.
Yeah.
That was the last and the plan he had with Charlie and stuff. Like, that's the last glimpse we get of Bad Guy Sawyer, because as Jack says here, like, when I need the guns, I'll get the guns. When he needs the guns, Sawyer doesn't put up a fight at all.
No.
He gives them right away.
Yeah.
So, and I think from then on, with like one or two like quick, whatevers. But yeah, he still has attitude. It's not like he stops like being Sawyer.
Oh no, he doesn't stop being Sawyer.
But he's not like really a bad guy, I think,
Yeah.
anymore for the rest of the show.
Yeah, he's just a guy who had a bad childhood and put up a shield, of sarcasm, and selfishness to cope.
Exactly. And what's not sympathetic about that?
Everybody can understand that.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Well, unfortunately, the next episode is Dave.
Oh God! Oh, not that one.
I'm not looking forward to reliving that extravaganza.
Yeah, well, It only happens once, at least. At least there's not Dave part 2.
Yeah, the revenge. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I agree. There's gonna be a couple, and then we got SOS.
oof. Rosa Bernard.
Yeah, but once we get after SOS,
Yeah.
I think,
No, we really only have 2 crappy episodes, and then
yeah,
then it's full steam ahead.
I think the rest of the season is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting to that stuff. I mean, after such a high as lockdown, I'm not surprised there's a bit of downtime after
Well, and there needs to be, because if you don't have downtime, then you can't wrap up for the finale.
that. Exactly. They hit such a high here that like they can't
You
sustain
got to
that.
take a break. Audience needs a break. Everyone needs.
Exactly.
They may not want a break, but they need a break.
A break to like digest and like let it sort of simmer. Yeah, definitely. If they want to ratchet it up, then they would have to outdo this episode instantly, and that would
Yeah.
just be weird.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
So yeah, no, it's true. You don't give the audience what they want; you give them what they need.
Exactly. They're like children.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what's best for them.
Exactly. You're giving their medicine.
Yeah, take your medicine. Take your Dave and your SOS.
Yeah.
All right, anything else on Lockdown?
No, I think that's it. It's a good episode. I recommend it to everyone at home.
Yeah, if you haven't just watched it with us, go watch or before.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
I would say I said this season, but in general, I think this is probably one of the all-time classic Lost episodes. So.
It's definitely classic Lost. I mean, yeah, it. I could name maybe 4 episodes, and then including those 5 that are at this point quintessential Lost episodes.
Yeah, definitely. That's about where we are.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth. If you're not watching everyone that we're talking about, this one's worth watching.
Yeah, got to catch this one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, thanks and namaste.
Namaste and good luck.